Welcome to 180 U-Turn, the talk show that features some of the greatest conversion stories of our time. Stories of men and women who are on the highway to hell when they encountered a Damascus Road experience that completely changed their life around. Hello everyone, I'm Steve Savant. Today I'm broadcasting live from Teen Challenge Christian Life Ranch in New River, Arizona. It's one of the premier detox and rehab facilities for drug and alcohol abuse. For more information on their rehab services, weekly meetings, and any special events, just hop out to their website at tcaz.org. That's T as in Tom, C, well actually I should say T as in teen, C as in challenge, ArizonaAZ.org, tzaz.org, okay? And remember, if you want to write me on the show, I love the Bible verses you guys do, your exhortations. It's always great to hear it. My email address for the show is steve@180uturn.com. That's steve at 180youturn.com. Today on 180, I'm putting a spotlight on a huge testimony and a story about Elijah Coburn. Elijah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, first of all, I love your first name.
Thank you.
So I'm sure that you get that a lot, right?
Yes, sir.
And I'm wondering, just curious, because everybody knows our first show of the week, which is this one, Monday, as everybody knows our formula, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we do everything the before Jesus time. So we spend 3 days on our bad boy behavior, and then we highlight Thursday's show, which is our conversion, and then Friday, what are we doing now with our life? So today when we walk in here, I'm thinking, how many times have you read the Bible now and really picked up on Elijah? You know, did all the verses on it to see if God would speak to you just from your namesake?
I don't know. I guess it's something that my mom's always told me from being a kid. She said that God told her that was what my name was going to be, and grew up hearing stories of Elijah, and like you said, obviously read the Bible since then. It's a real powerful story. So
it is. I mean, when you think about your namesake, it is monster. And by the way, getting converted, before you were converted, having a name like that is hard. That's like trying to run. This is like Jonah trying to run for his ministry.
Big
right?
shoes to fill, for sure.
It is big shoes. And we can only succeed and we can't replace them. Okay.
Sir.
All right, well, let's talk about your story, because it's really interesting, because you grew up in a Christian home, but the Christian home was, your parents were divorced, and you don't ever remember, as far back as you can remember, they weren't even together.
No, not from any of my memory at all. So.
Okay, but both of them were into you going to church.
Yes, sir.
Going to youth camp.
Yes, sir.
Going to vacation Bible school. Going to all the activities that you could go to. So you liked it. I mean, they were into it.
100%. Yes.
Wow. I always am amazed at people who come from divorced homes who are Christians. I come from several divorcee homes, but not Christian. It was all Catholic. I'm amazed at how they are so interested in making sure you get everything right, but they themselves, I guess God was not big enough to fix their marriage. Sometimes I wonder, how did that not work? But you went to so many of these places, and you were being taught the ways of the Lord as a young child. Now, even though you went south and you went off the table big time, Elijah, I ask you just straight out, when you returned, how many of the things that you were told you in your youth did you begin to recall as you sobered up, as you came through your own rehab and detox? How much did you remember from those days?
I mean, all of it, really. I think that was the foundation. That was the road that was paved that brought me back to where I'm at right now. This journey back to the Lord, for sure.
So their foundation, even though they themselves could not, they struggled through a divorce. You benefited from it. You actually returned some of this. You coming to the Lord was a return to the Lord.
Yes, sir. 1,000%.
Okay, now let me go one more step then. Okay. Would you consider yourself a prodigal?
I do think to some regard.
Because could you ever say in your life, being brought up, wait, was I born again back then?
I thought I was at the time. I didn't know what that meant to be born again. I was under the impression that if you just said a prayer and asked Jesus to come to your heart, then that was it. You had fire insurance. You knew where you're going to go after that. But interestingly enough, that's something you'll never find in the Bible, is the sinner's prayer, and it didn't really have anything to do with the gospel. So
I think that when we get to Thursday, we're going to hit this hard, because I think a lot of people are under the delusion of their salvation experience, because it doesn't include remorse, repentance, and godly sorrow. Amen. Which are like major components of conversion. Yes, sir. And you can call me bro.
Okay.
Okay. So you were actively in church. You went at 15. You went on a mission trip to China, where you were helping out a team teaching conversational English.
Yes, sir.
Talk about that. That's kind of cool.
So originally, my mom and stepdad were going to go to China, actually to go on this missions trip. They weren't able to go. They asked if they had any other close family members. They recommended me. I was a senior, about to start my senior year in high school.
Oh, and, wait. Senior year in high school, but you're 15.
Yeah, 15. I skipped a couple grades. So
you did. So
yes,
you have some intelligence.
Yeah, I guess God blessed me with a couple gifts. I retain things fairly easy. So
Eidetic memory, maybe?
I don't know about all that, but
okay.
yeah, for
So
sure.
you went to China.
Yes, sir.
And you're teaching English to adults.
Yeah.
But it's not English per se, like the proper English 101.
Right.
It's conversation.
Conversational English, right? So it was the first year of them running the program. It was for teachoverseas.org. The name of the program was TIP, Total Immersion Program. So a lot of these people, the students that were in this, they could read, they could write, and they could speak English, but they couldn't speak it fluently. Some of them ended up being like, we're going to like work for pilots for China Air or politicians and stuff like that. So they needed to be able to progress to be able to speak like you and I, fluent with their English. So their goal was being with native English speakers all day, every day, going through the curriculum, that they would be able to then be able to speak English fluently. Our goal as Christians and as followers of Christ was that people being around Christians all day, every day, would ask about that love that's shown within us and the fruit that we're bearing and inquire about it, and then allow us to then share the gospel with them.
Did you get some inquiries?
Yeah, for sure. I had this experience with one of the students. We were on a bus, and it was one of my last days there, and he just looked at me and started breaking down crying. And was just asking, like, what is this love inside of you guys that you have for one another? He said he's never seen this love before. And
that to me is huge, because it's past your verbal transmission skills, and we're talking about people seeing this without you flashing the card or advertising it.
yes, sir.
Yeah, to me, that's the way to go. Hey, by the way, were you actually a senior on this trip then?
I was in the summer ready to start my senior year. So,
Start senior.
Yeah, I just graduated my junior year.
So, and then when you went from high school, did you go to college?
Yep, I graduated high school at right after I turned 16, and I went to the Master's University in Santa Clarita, California.
And what was that university? What was its main goal for you?
So my main goal, I was majoring in theology. I thought it was a good, solid school. I mean, it is a good, solid school. It's John MacArthur School out there in California. So,
okay, why theology?
I've just always had a desire to know God, to know His Word. I think a lot of it too at the time, I was kind of working through all of it, but a lot of me felt like that was kind of pressured by my parents of something they wanted me to do. Something like I was always told that I was called to do, but I hadn't gotten to the point of truly feeling like that's what I wanted to do.
Now, this is strange, because people are going to go, Steve, this Monday show sounds like a pretty good background.
Yeah.
I don't see any problems with this, and I would get that. But this is why it's so important for the Monday show we have to tell like it is. It sounds like a dream upbringing, except for your parents' divorce. But honestly, how does somebody go south with this intent, with this education, missionary trip, a mind that God obviously gave you? You have academic skill sets here. So it's a mind blower in my mind. And then, of course, to add on top of this, nothing wrong with going into the military, but for somehow you said, hey, I need to sign up with Uncle Sam and do a tour of duty. Talk to me about your time in the Air Force.
So I ended up joining the Air Force. Felt pressured by my parents as well to kind of do that. I was still young. I was 17. They actually had to sign me over for me.
Didn't you even have a girlfriend at the time? You didn't want to?
Yeah. I had a girlfriend I was dating. I thought we were pretty serious, and she played.
Didn't you guys used to have the what do they call it? Purity ring?
Yeah, I had a purity ring at the time too. I was I guess you could say a good kid. I never skipped school. I got straight A's. I skipped grades. I never went to parties. I never drank. I never smoked weed. I never did any of that. And was a virgin at the time until I was dating this girl actually at the time. So
you gave her a ring.
Yes, sir.
And you told her, I'm so sorry, I got to leave. I'm joining the Air Force. Was she okay with that?
Yeah, she was supportive at the time for sure.
Wow. All right. So when you went into the Air Force, and everybody's military experience is different. Okay. So I don't want to try to broad brush this, but most people's time in the military, there's enough negative. All right, but you had some serious negative, right?
Yeah.
100%. I mean, talk to me about what happened there, because you sound like you wanted to go, and then it just went south for you.
It just definitely wasn't. I don't think at that season of my life I was mature enough to handle it. I don't think I was ready to be under that level of discipline and structure all the time. Always people telling you what to do. It had a lot of bad influences too. A lot of the guys there were doing drugs, they were drinking, and stuff like that, which up until this point, had never really influenced me.
Well,
so.
what was the culture like? How anti-God was it over there?
Yeah, I mean, no one went to church. Everyone kind of, would crack jokes and stuff about that. The lifestyle definitely was anti-God. It was all about sleeping around and partying and, fulfilling the flesh and desires of the flesh.
And that whole culture for you was pretty bad. How long did you stay in before you filed? This classification that you told me in our pre-interview is new to me because back in the day we didn't have this.
So they had what's called the entry-level separation at the time. When I was in there, they had too many people in the Air Force kind of thing, and they were willing to let people go for whatever reason they needed. Unlike at the time the Army and the Navy, who were making exceptions to let people in. So I hadn't fulfilled my enlistment, so they had, for your first enlistment, if you hadn't fulfilled it, an entry-level separation, where they would let you out with an honorable discharge kind of thing.
Wow, that's brand new for me because back in our day, no, it's going to be dishonorable, period. There isn't this option.
Right.
All right, so in your original intent to go in seemed to be honorable, but you walked in there and you just brushed up against authoritarianism on a level of dictatorship that you cannot believe. I mean, if people that haven't done this, they don't understand, right?
Sure. All
right, and I appreciate that, and I actually have a relative in the Navy right now, and as soon as his tour of duty was about 13 months from now, he's out. He's not resigning.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't what he thought. So now tell me about this. Okay, so you leave the Air Force, you come back to see your girl, right?
Well, actually, we broke up when I was in the Air Force, right before I left.
Did?
Yep. And that kind of also played a big role in me wanting to leave. I had spent all my leave time. I was in Florida. I didn't really have a way of, coming to see her, which I ended up not seeing her actually at all when I came back.
So when you came back, that relationship is gone. And before you left the military, she started to kind of change her behavior too. Is that not so?
Yes, sir. She was smoking weed and drinking kind of occasionally when we got together. That started progressing to like harder drugs, cocaine and ecstasy and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's kind of a drop off the table experience then, because when you left her, she's pretty straight like you were.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but now it's a
definitely.
whole different
Started
story.
going down a path I wasn't quite ready to go down yet, but
I gotta say, there's a couple things here. Shock and awe, change of culture can be a shocking issue. Growing up in a Christian home, already doing a missionary trip at 15, going to Master's University for a theology degree. I mean, that's a little deep, and then heading for the Air Force, right?
Yes, sir.
And doing military time. All these issues, right, are playing into a long-term comeback for, in my view, a pretty successful Prodigal story. But I'm so sorry that we have to go through not only the rest of this episode, but Tuesday and Wednesday's show, because it gets so dark. And it's hard for some of our audience who knows that you were brought up in such a good home, and people are for you, and they seem to be, cheering you on, and everything just goes south. And then maybe we'll get into maybe your own 2 cents of why you think that happened. When I'm thinking about this, just to close out this episode, she was doing these things, your girlfriend, but were you doing them? Because you're not doing them in the service, right?
Actually, I did start doing them in the service.
Oh, you did? In the service.
So the first thing I did was robo-tripping. So what that is, that's when you take excessive amounts of Robitussin or any type of over-the-counter medication that has, I believe it's called DXM in it, dextromorphine. And so what you do is you take 300 milligrams of that, so like 2 bottles of it is what we would take, and it kind of makes you feel almost like you're hallucinating or high or tripping. So we started doing that regularly. I actually smoked weed for the first time in the Air Force as well, was drinking regularly.
And these are legal over-the-counter drugs, right?
Yes,
this is not something sketchy.
Nope, something you get from the store. At the time, you didn't even need an ID or anything either. So.
Wow, well, listen, we're going to continue this saga, and especially, I'm so sorry to say, the descent of Elijah's life in the next 2 episodes. So I just want to say, for more information, though, on a Teen Challenge, you can go out to their website at tcaz.org and check out their services, their special events, and their detox and rehab facilities. And remember, you have to really think about, when we're talking about Teen Challenge, this is a very Christian-centered rehab and detox. So their recidivism rate is really a great number. In fact, actually, I'm sure the state loves to hear that. So until next time, remember, no one's outside the reach of God. No, not one.